So with that being said, I'll let you know that I'm not what you might call a polished speaker. I'm a little rough around the edges, probably because I skipped all those days of oral report day. But I did learn to speak proper grammar. I just choose to use Texas slang. It just kind of goes with the territory around here. Now, I know you've heard it 1,000 times in your life. I've heard it, but I just got it figured out. You've heard it, you cannot judge a book by its cover. You can't judge other people by what somebody else says or by what they're wearing or where they live. It's not fair, and it's not your job. There's only one judge in this world, and let me tell you, he doesn't need a jury, okay? So the best thing to do is just know that everybody's book is a little different. Some of the covers are worn and scratched and scarred, and the pages are torn and bent back, and they're not so straight. Some people's books are real nice and pretty and been up on the shelf. You know, they're beautiful books. Who's to say which book is better? I don't know. But with that, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to open up my book and share with you a few pages of my story. A lot of you think you know me, and some of you do, but you don't know how I got to here and how it started for me. And that's what I'm going to do today, is share with you a little bit of my story. And it's not pretty, you know. The beginning of the times is not pretty. So here it goes. I was born in Houston, Texas, on the poor side of town. And when I'm talking poor side of town, I'm talking about the side of town where you guys drive through and you roll up your windows tighter and you lock your doors. You know, and you check your gas gauge and make sure you don't run out of gas on that side of town. Well, that's the side of town that I grew up in. That's the side of town that by the time you're 5 years old, you get to see things like drug overdoses, stabbings, killings, drownings, attempted suicides. I've seen it all, man. I'm telling you, and it wasn't easy. I've seen things 35 years ago in HD and reality TV that you guys are just seeing now, probably. So, by the time I was 5, I was taught how to fight for my lunch money. You see, we were poor and we didn't have much money. I had to fight for my lunch money and I had to fight for the shoes on my feet. When I was in 1st grade, 3 little Mexican girls in the 3rd grade jumped me and stole my $2 jelly shoes from Walmart. They wanted those shoes. I got a beating then and got a beating back home, and I got home because I didn't have my shoes. Now, by the time I was 17, my mother had been married and divorced 5 times, with a few live-ins along the way. And I'm going to tell you, that wasn't easy. Life growing up like that is not easy. You don't have many roots, and you're shuttled around a lot. By the time I had graduated high school, I'd been in 3 different high schools. Just imagine that for a second. If you've ever been the new kid, always being the new kid, it's hard. And it make you tough. It make you durable. I think it helped me because I feel that I can go and talk to the poorest of the poor, the richest of the rich. I feel like I fit in everywhere, you know? My mother had only just turned 17, 20 days before I was born. So she was a teenage mother, and it was the beginning of the 70s. Hell, there were drugs to do and hippies to date and rock and roll. She didn't want to be stuck with a kid. So I lived a lot with my grandmother and my Aunt Janie and whoever else she decided to leave me with at the time if she was mad at the family. So I had to learn to pretty much be a survivor on my own. Now, while all this was going on, my mother was diagnosed manic, bipolar, alcoholic, drug addict. I don't know if any of you ever had to deal with any of that. I'm just telling you, it's insane. You're a 14-year-old kid and you're raising your mama because she's 10. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. And I don't tell many people these things or my story. I've really never, ever spoke about it to many people. But I'm telling you because I don't want people to sit out there and just feel sorry for me. Because I don't want anybody to pity me. Because I feel like God has reasons for everything, and I wouldn't be the person that I am today if I hadn't overcome all these obstacles in my life that brought me to here. You know? Now, I don't know why God gives more people things to bear than other people. Some people are born where I was and you don't have a spoon, and some people are born with that silver golden spoon in their mouth. I don't know the reason. All I got to do is have faith and say, look, maybe God's plans for all the rainy days in our lives is to strengthen and nourish the foundation of our hearts and our souls, so that when the big storms of life come, because they come, you can hang on and it won't wipe you out. Because you see, my life was full. I had finally had everything I wanted. I had peace, love, and happiness. My family and my team, we were on top of the world. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, one day came the biggest storm of my life. I was devastated, man. I went from having the very best day of my life to the worst day of my life, back to back in the same week. You know, my daughter tragically died the day after Mother's Day. It was the first time in my whole life, after going through all that stuff, I thought about quitting. I was tired, man. I've been fighting for happiness my whole life. I was tired, you know? In the days after Skylar died, it's just a big blur. It's just pictures and places and events and what people said. In the weeks following, I was drugged around to grief counselors and pumped full of pills. It wasn't fun. I didn't want to face reality, and I don't think anybody around me wanted me to face reality, because reality hurt. Reality was bad. And guess what? The best thing is, I had some really good friends who come to me and they tell me, you know what? These 3 boys, they need you still. They're hurting. They've lost their sister too. And now they're watching their mother suffer. It hit me, man. It's just like a knife in my heart. See, I'd always been the funny, crazy mom. I do retarded things to make my kids laugh. I just do. My kids had always known love, laughter, and stability. These were the things that I thought was important. I wanted them to know these things. These were the things that I never had. You know, I just got to tell you, my kids suffered through the storms with us, and it wasn't easy. But I finally had to decide, you know what? I got a decision to make. And the decision is it sucks. It sucked. But life goes on. And guess what? I had to too. I didn't have to just for me now. I had to for my family and my boys. I had to get up and go on. Now, I tell you, storms are a part of life, and you'll understand that later. Now, I won't stand up here and say, why me anymore. I've said it for years. I'm done with it. I'm all wide out. All I got to know and believe in my heart is that there's a lesson for every storm. I don't know what it is yet. All I do know is I'm a much better mother, and I'm a more compassionate and loving person than I was before. I do know that my family is that we are so tight that there is no glue any tighter than ours. Nothing will break my family apart. I do know that I am so proud of my children. They suffered their own little storms at their ages, and they turned out to be the most compassionate, loving, wonderful people I know. And I'm proud to call myself their mother. I couldn't think of anything any better. You see, the storms of life happen. Might be in your business, might be in your marriage, might be a personal storm that you got to deal with. But the greatest thing about storms are it helps you grow. Because if you've ever noticed, when a Texas storm comes through here, it's bad, okay? But the next day after the storm, that's the day that the sun comes out and it shines brighter than it has shone in months. The little bitty flowers come up and they're taller and more perky, and their colors are more vibrant than they've been in weeks. And then all of a sudden, overnight, the grass seems to have turned greener. Guess what? Through the wind and the rain, new seeds will be spread and new life will begin again. Because it is what it is, and it's called life. And my message to you is simply this: when your life storm hits, be ready and hold on, because you can't outrun it. I tried it. It doesn't work. You cannot outrun it. But what you can do is you can never, 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 never quit, because with every tomorrow brings a brand new day. Thank you very much.